Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's XAUUSD webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Before we get into tonight's webinar, if you could all read through the disclaimer. Those on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch. For those in the webinar, I've got the chat box open, the Q&A box open, so you can use those to talk to me. So just get everybody to read through the disclaimer before we move along. Or we'll move along. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at XAUUSD. And I've been trading the Forex market now for almost 20 years. Mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with us at the website, acy.com, go to the Market News tab, or at our YouTube channel. That's at ACY Securities Australia. And if you want to connect with me personally, just head over to my Linktree page. You'll get all my links there. If you want to get access to the chart lists and templates I'm using, just contact Nathan.bray's emails there on screen. For those in the webinar, I'll put it in the chat for you. He'll only be too happy to set you up. All right, so first up today, let's get into the news items for the day. So into Thursday here, these are Queensland time, my time. 7:30, we have the Bank of England Governor Bay speaking for the UK pound. 10:30 p.m. for the US got final GPQQ, so it could be volatile then and unemployment claims. Into Friday, midnight, we have pending home sales. And then probably the bigger one for the week is 10:30 p.m. the US core PC price index. I'm sure the market's looking to that for some read on inflation. And also we've got the Canadian GDP month and month there. So those are the remaining items coming out for the week. Just be aware of when they're coming out. Manage your positions, decide when you want to get into a trade or not based around the news. All right, so let's get into the charts. Generally speaking, we've been seeing US dollar strength over the last day. So into the dollar index first of all. So we did have a dip at the start of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and this is Thursday, to a new high yesterday for the move. So we just hit the 127 extension. So we might be getting a little bit top heavy up here for maybe another 1 day down, something like that, maybe at some point. But ultimately, we're quite clearly in an uptrend here. We're quite clearly just pulling back, then moving back up. So we've up, pulled back to 62.79% level. We're at the 127 extension here. So we might see another pullback, then up, so on and so forth. The news, we probably won't have too much of a pullback, I don't think, until we get the news tomorrow. And the news may be the driver of a further push up to test those highs up at 106.58 up here. We'll have to wait and see. But ultimately, the trend is up on the dollar at the moment. And it's not really signaling any kind of reversal of any magnitude. It did look on Monday like, well, that was quite a nasty day down, but things have all been sorted out there. Now, S&P 500. This is just the range of last week that we're trading in at the moment. Holding above this daily hold high. Bit of support at 54.49. On the 4-hour chart, you can see we've been getting lots of support from this high over here. All right. And this pullback here looks like a 79% pullback as we drop down to a lower time frame. So that's last week's range. We're getting support at the 62.79% area of last week's range. And then most immediate 4-hour range here is 79% pullback back to supports. And that seems to be holding. So we are obviously high up on the indices at the moment. So that's the all-time high up here. But we're getting support here. So any dips back down to 54.49, if it's holding down there, that's where you want to be looking for a buy to continue with the trend that we're seeing at the moment. All right, into the euro dollar. Today, this is weekly support or resistance. We're below it, so potentially here this is resistance now. We're being rather consolidatory in this area. We're not able to move through these lows yet, 106.67, but we have had a 79% retracement of last week's range. Just dropped the 4-hour chart. There's a range last week, high and low. Further at 79, we have had a fresh low for this week compared to last week, and we've actually traded to a fresh low overall of the overall move down in this run. So we're just starting to want to maybe hold below 106.94, 10700 the figure now. So may see a blip back up there. Of course, we haven't quite traded at 107 today, so we could trade at 107 later when the news comes out. But most definitely, intraday perspective is resistance up here at the moment. So any revisit there, watch that to be further resistance. Okay, and you can also watch just for a move back up to 106.94. So figure to 160.94. That's the area where the sellers are today, holding the downtrends. Is this where we're going to put in the high of the day today to move down? So if it moves back up into this little area, you could be watching for a little 15-minute retracement. Ideal would be up there at the 79% level. 106.94 area. Stop just above this area. Are we moving to a new low compared to yesterday's low today? All right. So very much a downtrend, a little bit consolidated where it is on the day chart, but are we going to be able to break through and out of the zone that we're in? You know, are we going to be really breaking down over the next 1-2 weeks to test 105.99 down here? All right, so looking for a rally to get short. Euro yen is right up at the intervention high at the moment on the day chart. Okay, so quite clearly all these yen pairs at the moment are in uptrends, but we're all very high up, wondering if the Bank of Japan will come in and intervene again like it did back in April. All right, so it's definitely on the cards. Maybe they'll do it tomorrow after the US news. Maybe they might do it Monday morning when the market opens. Monday morning for me, Sunday for everybody else maybe. When the markets are a bit thin on orders, then they can maybe move the market around a little bit more quickly. We'll have to wait and see. Or maybe they're going to be waiting for a much higher move up before they intervene again. But it's always in the back of the mind when we're at such high levels that they could intervene. So at the moment, it's pausing at this high point. It's deciding, are we going to move up or are we going to fail? Now, at the moment, the 4-hour structure isn't down. And you could just be looking for a dip at the moment. If you're on the buy side of the market, you could be looking for a dip. There's a 4-hour range to monitor to the 62.79% zone. Or if you're thinking, well, we might hold at resistance and we could reverse back down the range, then you want to look for some kind of change in this structure here on the 4-hour chart. Or, you know, that's the high that we're just above at the moment, 171.55, the intervention high. If today we sell off, most certainly then tomorrow, if we sell off today, most certainly then tomorrow you could look for this area to be clear resistance because we couldn't hold above it today. We don't have that yet. So at the moment, things are still in an uptrend. It's a little bit choppy price action today because I'm sure traders know that we're at a high level. Even intraday at the moment, central pivot point is supports. So if we do move back below 71.55, down at central pivot point, just trying to find the number for you, 171.39. That's clear support intraday today at the moment. So if we came back down to there today and started to hold, that's where the buyer should be then looking to, you know, trade up from. All right, euro pound. It's not getting yet into the zone that I'm watching. Still watching that zone, which is 84. I can read. Not 84, it's 64.83 to 64.98. Sorry, it's not. My eyes are really struggling today. It is 84. 84.83 up to 84.98. Okay. Still got a gap in here that we haven't yet filled. So can we come up into that zone? Just watching at the moment. We've broken below. If you go to your high time frame charts, this is the weekly chart. Broken below both monthly and weekly support levels. So with those levels then become resistance on a rally back up. Okay. Okay, pound dollar. Went down to a fresh low of the move. We've had 62% retracement. Traded below the low of last week. Trends down. Possibility I've been saying before. Can't see that without taking that view off. There's a possibility of a head and shoulder pattern on the weekly chart, running this down towards 122.70, 122.99. Left shoulder, head, possible right shoulder here. So if that's the case, then the long-term direction is down towards testing this low. All right, so let's move to the 4-hour chart. We've had a 62% retracement on last week's range. So we may well come down into 127 extension to put in the low for the week, down at 125.89. All right, just getting a little bit of support from back to the daily. Getting a little bit of support from over here at the moment and the lower last week. But the trend is down, so it's just coming back up within yesterday's trading to maybe locate the high of the day, 15-minute. Holding at the central pivot point here at the moment. So that is most definitely an area to watch today. If we come back up into this area, do we retest here and hold? Little 15-minute range here. Central pivot point set 126.43, 126.42 is a 79% level, that little range. You could be looking for a tight entry here. Sell, stop over here to keep moving down today. Wouldn't need to risk too much there. Wouldn't need to risk more than 15 pips probably. For, if we can run down all day from that area, it would be good risk reward. Pound yen, just a day chart. We're at the top of the overall move here at the moment. The monthly chart here, we've moved above this major high, 195.88, and next major level of resistance is quite a while away at 215.84. 215.84 it is. So clear trends at the moment. We could still end up false breaking this high over a period of time if we get some intervention, but at the moment this is in the clear uptrend on all time frames. Weekly's up and the daily's up. We are quite overextended here on the daily. We may need 1 or 2 days pullback, and if I wanted to trade this pair at the moment, I want to see a pullback. Now, can we pull back to this previous level of resistance, 201.61? Pull back to there, and then, in this area, look intraday for reversal back up. Where it is at the moment, you're just at the top of the move. So you want to look for a corrective move down to a logical area of support. And then does that support hold? Can you then see an intraday entry to get long? All right, Aussie yen. Now, if we go to the monthly chart, we're heading towards, we've moved above one major top at the moment, 105.42. So around 160 pips above there at the moment. And the next level is at 107.83. Now we're just testing 107 at the moment. Trends on the monthly, weekly data are all up. We're at very historical high levels though. So as I keep saying, when we're at these areas, don't be surprised to see a reversal, but weekly trends up and the day trends up. We're 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9th positive day. So do you want to get along on the 9th positive day? You probably want to wait for a pullback. 105.42 is the major monthly high we've moved above. Okay, that's 160 pips away. I will just be waiting at the moment to see if we can get a pullback. There is a range here where we have a bit of an imbalance. So from here up, this area, last week's high, 106.15. Within that range could be a good area to watch if we pull back. Other than that, this is very high up. Trying to engage at such a high level doesn't make good sense. You want to wait for a pullback. Now, if you're much more, you think, okay, we're at exceptional high levels now. How could I construct a short? Then we are at the figure. We're battling at the figure here at the moment. That's just that range from the other time frame. But if we continually start to struggle at 107, if you can get a tight entry as this maybe wants to move back below 107, it may only pull back 20 pips and then want to move back up, but it might fail at 107 and want to pull back all the way down the range. And then it may become a significant reversal if maybe the Bank of Japan intervenes. So if you can get a tight entry, if price action starts to tell you, okay, looks like we might at least pull back down to here, then it's most worthwhile looking for a short up here at 107 if you can see a tight trigger and you set up to sell. At the moment, though, I'm not seeing that. Just, putting it out there. We're at the 9th day up. We're at the figure. Are we going to be holding here for at least a 1 or 2 day pullback? A pullback to fill this imbalance here. They got formed after yesterday's CPI data. On the Aussie dollar, we filled that imbalance, but of course we haven't here on the Aussie yen yet. Okay, Aussie dollar. That was the imbalance I'm just talking about on the Aussie yen. We filled it. We've actually just come back up this way to fill an imbalance that was here. So these imbalances, they're just getting filled all the time. Big one moved up here, and then we traded back down through the day to fill it, and then we filled this one here. We've actually just come down to try to fill this little one here that we've made on the way up, but that hasn't been filled yet. All right, so the direction of the Aussie dollar is a little tough. I actually got short up here yesterday. This daily resistance, 66.79. I had a fib from there to there, 79% level, so I got short up there. Is it going to hold here to at least come down to the bottom of the range? I don't know. We're back up inside the rejection area of the candle at the moment, and if we just use that candle high to low for the range, ultimately at the moment, the range is quite clearly here. Tried to trade out maybe yesterday, but couldn't. So I would anticipate if we can't trade above and hold, we're potentially going to move back down to at least the bottom of the range once more. All right, so 4 hour. Yesterday's, I just want to get rid of that fib. Yesterday's range is here, the rejection candle. But the 62 at the moment, when the news comes out later, we might come up to retest the 66.79 level, the 79% of yesterday's move down. At the moment, it's struggling at these highs here. All right, you can see why price action is rejecting there because of these highs to the left, 62% level. So once the news comes out later from the US, if we don't really get up, and all we are doing is hanging around the 62 level, then that may well be the area that we're going to be holding at to move back down the range. So I have to wait and see what the US news brings a little bit later. But I would look to this higher level up here. I'm already short from up here, so I prefer not to get up there because I'm short from up there. But if I wasn't short, that's where we'll be looking to then trade back down the range to around about the 65.90 level where support is at the moment. All right, getting into New Zealand yen. This is trying, let me just get rid of that fib. It's trying to break above, move above the monthly all-time high on my charts. At 97.75, it's what, 13 pips above at the moment. So all trends are up, monthly's up, weekly's up, daily's up. It's very difficult to just be buying right now, but just above the major high, because we could clearly false break. Even if the trend's going to hold, even if we false break here in the short term, the trend's going to hold. You want to look to where there's a nice range and where could we logically pull back to. These highs here, so around about 96.78 would be a nice area to look for support. Okay, that's the buy side. If you wanted to look for a reversal up here, for our charts, once more testing these 4-hour double tops. You can see there's a range here at the moment. So, if you're very much, I want to get short at the major high, we're kind of forming a range here at the moment. Is this a range to break higher or is it a range to break lower? It's a range to break lower. You want to be obviously shorting up here, pretty much where price is right now. If it gets up to 9,800, highest point we've been is 97.92 at the moment. But, for the top of the range, this could stay like this for the next couple of days before moving above or before breaking below. So got to make a decision about, do you want to trade this pair to the short side where it is, or do you want to wait for some form of pullback to support and then look for support to hold? That's last month's high area where I've highlighted, to look for then an opportunity to get long. All right. New Zealand dollar. Just going to go to the weekly charts. So we have this double top up here. It's holding on the weekly chart. So if it's going to run through to a longer term double top, double top price projection is down here to 54.85. So last week I was discussing getting short at the 79% level, 61.39. That's pretty much where I'm short from. That gives you the best risk reward if we can move down long term, getting in within the early phase of this pattern. At the moment, we're at support. All right, 60.82, we're having a bounce from there. Will we today, these two lows here, 60.98, 60.96, let's call it 6100. Will 6100 today hold as resistance to continue a move down? So if we just simply look at yesterday's range, just coming up to the 62 area. Whilst I'm saying 6000, we're at 6100. 61.01 at the moment. There are some lows in here on the 4-hour chart, so we could come into this area today. So the highest point of that is 61.11. Start of that area is at 61.04. Because we were kind of consolidating on those lows, and then we broke down through there yesterday. So we may well be coming back up to the area that we broke to become resistance today. Right, 62 level looks quite nice here with the pivot, 61.04. So watch that area. Do we get a reversal down? There's a little bit of imbalance here from yesterday, which started there. So getting up to 62 level there would fill that imbalance, and then does it hold there to move down? So you can watch that to see if it starts to turn around there. And can we then move down to the lower yesterday and below? Right, dollar Canadian. Now this is the year I drew in on Tuesday. I said 136.31 down to 136.31 down to 136.13. I said didn't quite get down to 13, but you can see where it came down to on the news. And then we're obviously having a bit of a pullback at the moment. I would start to watch this range. So this is clear support where we're at. Moved up. Do we pull back now to this? That 79% level at 136.38. We could come into 31 again. This area here for further support to move back up. Now, I might not get that deep. If we've gotten strong support already, it might not want to pull back so deep, but that's where clear support is. So I always tend to look for price to come back to where clear support is. So that's the support area. Longer term trend has been generally up. This whole range that I've got in from over here, from low to high, is last month's candle range. So it looks like we're potentially getting support here in the lower area of the candle. Are we going to be moving back up after a pullback here? All right, so you can watch that area 136.38 down to 136.31 for support. Okay, dollar franc, never pull back. Just the weekly chart here. Once we close back above this weekly support, we haven't pulled back to maybe retest that level to be support. And we're coming up to now weekly resistance. Of course, we had an interest rate cut on the franc side, which has created that strong reversal on the weekly. The trend on the weekly is down though. Daily, we could form a double top up here. It's a bit tricky just right now where it is, because this is weekly resistance, 69.91. Weekly trend is down and we're coming back up. We can't break above here. Then we could hold here to trade back down to 88.92. So it's well worth starting to watch 89.91. It's also last month's low at 89.87. Do we test this area today? Hold and come back down to this area. So I think these are the two areas to watch over the next week. Does this hold a resistance on a test? Do we trade back down to this area for support? So when the news comes out later in the day, does this area get tested? Does it hold? Then can you start to look for an intraday reversal? Now, There's also the buy opportunity here within the range as well. 4-hour uptrend here, you could just simply be thinking, well, we've broken above this area. We are, with the cutting of interest rates on the Swiss side, whilst this is resistance, over time we're going to break through this area. So you look at this 4-hour range and you look for a pullback to the 62.79% area. 62 levels quite nice here with these highs. So that's at 89.39. You look at this zone for support, for then price to come up, test this area and move through. So if we don't test that resistance area and then just pull back at the moment, I would look for that opportunity. If we don't pull back and then we test resistance, I would look at resistance to fail to trade back down the range. All right, getting into dollar yen. Dollar yen, now this 160.33 line is a major monthly level that today is being support. So earlier in the day, this was the opportune time to look for your buy if you're prepared to buy the dollar yen. So the monthly chart, if we go back in time, there's this high over here back in 88. That's that line on top of that high. At the moment, monthly trends up, weekly trends up, day trends up. Bit over, it's well, all these yen pairs are well overextended. They're up. I think every yen pair is at a fresh high move for the year. And we're just a little bit above the intervention high at the moment. So I'm sure there's lots of speculation that will the Bank of Japan or not come in and intervene at such high levels. All right. There's no way I'm going to be buying at such a high level. Quite clear the trend is up, but really the most immediate upward range for the day chart is here. Okay, that's quite a long range. If we could pull back, the 62 level overlaps perfectly with this high area here. That would be a great area to look for support and an opportunity to structure a trade to the upside. So around about 157.67. Other than that, it's just too dangerous if they get such high levels to be getting long. You want to look for a corrective measure and then, of course, to the downside, if you started to see, let's leave that on there, on the 4-hour chart, if you started to see clear structure on the 4-hour chart turned it down, then of course you can try and trade down towards the support area on that change of structure, but we don't have that at the moment. And of course, a change of structure may see some intervention selling as well. And so if you can get on board that, that would be great. But at the moment, we're not seeing that. If you're quite happy to just trade to long sides at such high levels, we may well see this area hit again today. Central pivot point at 160.38 down to 160.33. That's clear support intraday at the moment on top of that monthly high. So that's where the buyers are prepared through the Asia into London session to offer support. So if you move back into that area again today, watch the area for support if you want to be a buyer. All right, let's get into gold. Getting down to support here. All right, so it's clearly on support. Trend structure on the day chart, turn back to up. If we get a clear close below this low, maybe it's turning back to down, but it's a bit difficult at the moment because the market's quite range bound and there's lots of support here. All right, low, 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 and low there. So even if we trade below this low, it doesn't necessarily change the trend because support can come in from any of these lows to reverse it back up. And you can see today we're positive on the day versus yesterday. So for me, if I wanted to trade gold, I would be simply looking at these lows. About 122.95 area. Do we, maybe it may have already missed the opportunity to trade there, but do we come down to test that area or close to, and do you see intraday a reversal back up? All right, well, I think you really need to treat this area down here as support until support clearly breaks. All right, you can see already we've had a reversal from that area. Will it come back down again today, maybe after the US news? Does it hold? Or a further opportunity to trade up? Right, some thoughts on gold. Let's just step back into some of these pairs and see what they're doing. Right, so the euro has moved back into that zone that I highlighted, that where we're going to hold for the high of the day today. You know, if you like the year, you need to make a decision. Pound dollar, just hit that 79% level highlighted earlier. Holding at the center pivot point one more time. Aussie, it's holding at 62 level. It's really coming up for a smaller 62% retracement as well. Or 79% retracement just there. So is the Aussie there? Down, rally, back down for the day. So all these pairs to the US dollar are showing similar patterns at the moment. So that euro dollar, we're going to see price action do that. And the pound dollar, again, same thing. We're going to see price action like so. All right, any questions? Markets might be a little bit slower today. Market will for sure will be looking at the data coming out tomorrow. We do have data today, so we have final GDP, QQ, and unemployment claims. So the market, we're a little bit range bound at the moment. Back up to testing towards the highs of the start of London. Got clearly waiting for these two news items to come out at 10:30 and pending home sales at midnight. But I think the market, more importantly, will be looking at Friday's data here, the core PCE price index. Okay. So just be aware of all those items coming out. If there's no questions, then I might wrap it up there. We are not, well, we're heading into July next month. July is normally okay. As we head into August, the market can get quite slow sometimes because the Northern Hemisphere is summer. July, August, be interesting to see if the market stays trending or we go a little bit sideways for the summer. It's worth just noting that. Right, so I'm going to wind it up there. Next week from me, I'll be back with you on Tuesday for more analysis. Come over to the webinar page, links up here at the top. And I'll be back on the 2nd, Tuesday for more analysis. On the 3rd, I'm going to be taking you through the pattern, 79% fib retracement pattern. 3rd of July, 4th of July, more analysis. 4th of July must be a US holiday next week, but I'll still be on board doing webinar. All my webinars at 7 p.m. Sydney time. So if you want to join me, just head over to the webinar page at the top. I'm showing you there and register your interest. I look forward to seeing you there. Okay, so thanks everybody for your company this evening. As I say, just make sure you know when the news items are coming out, because certainly over the last couple of months, these unemployment claims figures can certainly drive the market. higher unemployment. Well, higher unemployment claims means higher unemployment, and that would be a data point that the Fed would be looking at. If jobs are being lost, unemployment's shifting up, that may be a stepping point to cutting interest rates. So market will certainly be looking at that unemployment claims figure tonight. All right, I'll leave you with that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week.